Cinema 9 podcast. Michael Govier, Travis Roy, Eric Brancham. This is the second to last show of 2022 that we will do. You may watch this 6 months from now and not care about that at all. And if that's the case, welcome to the show. Also, we have chapters now on YouTube. So if you want to skip ahead to certain parts of the show within an episode, we've been keeping up on that the last couple of weeks, and they're a lot of fun. Makes it easier for you all to navigate. And you can give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like on this video if you happen to be watching it. And then we're going to focus on Silver Linings Playbook as the main focus of today's show. That'll be our Does It Hold Up or Not segment. But first, there's so much to cover. We're going to talk about a lot of things movie-related. Travis Roy, it's the end of the movie year for 2022, although the movie season in terms of celebrity excitement and awards is just kicking off.
It's true. Like every year, they like to wait for the quote-unquote most important movies to come out, December 31st or whatever. But there's definitely been a lot of movies this year, and we'll talk about what we think the best are that we've seen, and, as we do.
That's true. Eric Bradshaw, you getting ready for Hellstorm 2023?
Yeah. Hell illness rages on. Been sick for like 3 straight months. Finally did a telehealth with my doctor. My doctor's like, all right, I'm giving you like these drugs. See if they work. I'm like, what? Like, when could I have gotten these like a month ago? He's like, you can't get these in the stores. Take these and it'll go away. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Give up these secret cough meds.
You think you're being taken advantage of by your own doctor? Maybe you should prescribe someone new. How about a prescription for a new doctor?
I love my doctor. He's like 18, but like he knows all like the cutting edge stuff. And he's like, just take this prescription. Tomorrow the cough is going to be gone.
Is it like antibiotics that he gave you?
Yeah, he doubled me up on antibiotics and some like crazy ass thing. But like, I got high hopes. It's good to have a great doctor that you trust.
It really is. I cannot tell you how important that is. I had a doctor I loved and really adored for about a year, and it was the best year of my life.
I told him about the podcast. I'm like, who's the best doctor in movies? And he told me that he'd send me a message on my chart. It never happened.
Oh,
he's a busy man. I mean, my GP, I think he has like 700 patients or something crazy like that in a given day. He gave me the number once. It was outlandish. I'm like, no wonder you spend 10 minutes with me. Well, have a nice life. No wonder you always call me Mr. Travis.
Mr. Travis.
Mr. Roy.
Yeah, there's people who do that. I have people I work with, they call them Mr. or Mrs. their first name. Like,
no, they get it backwards for whatever reason. Like, medical professionals always they look at a list of names, and since my last name is technically a first name, they get to my name and they think, well, this one's out of order, so this must be Mr. Travis. I've been saying Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones. Here's Mr. Travis. I'm like, no, my name is not the one name on the list that's in backwards order. It's Mr. Roy. Thank you.
Yeah, Travis Roy. I wonder how Travis Roy is doing. The guy who got that terrible spinal injury.
He passed away a few years ago, bud.
Well, shit. Yeah. Hey, it's not the holidays if we're not getting a little down and out, right? I think it's only reasonable.
Actually, we talked about it when it happened on the podcast because I came in and told you guys that Travis Roy was dead.
Yep. As soon as we're going through this now, I'm recalling it. I'm feeling the emotions from that original reveal. And boy, that's too bad. We wish you the best, the Roy family, not your family, the other Roy. Oh, yeah, your family too, sure. Everybody, all the Roys. Every Roy in the world, from Rob Roy's distant ancestors. I hope they're doing well. I don't know.
He's not a true Roy. That was just a nickname.
You guys ever seen that movie? Rob Roy, Liam Neeson? Was that any good?
I didn't see it.
I never did either.
I was bitter.
You guys watch it?
He's not a real Roy.
I feel like Braveheart really drowned out Rob Roy. It just came out around the same time. Poor Rob Roy. Although I wouldn't call it a comparison film like Dante's Peak and whatever the fuck the other volcano movie was back then. Anyways, we got a lot to cover, so we should not fuck around brown, as they say. Don't forget, email the show, cinemanipod@gmail.com if you have any thoughts on whatever you hear or see. Next week, we're going to have a guest. He's known as the Dragon Movie Guy. He's got his own YouTube channel, his own show. So check out Dragon Movie Guy. I'll put some more of that information in the description of the show later. And I'll reveal his selection for next week's show at the end of the show. That'll be exciting. It's always fun to have the pick before everyone else does. You feel like you got a big secret. So,
all right,
cut the bullshit. we're going to get to quarantine viewing picks, but we wanted to talk about, we're at the end of the year here. It's the very end of 2022. There's been a lot of movies that came out and that we've watched. I've tried to watch as many as I could. There's still a couple I didn't get to, but let's go around the room here and talk about our best of 2022 from a film perspective. Travis, why don't you lead it off here and take us in any direction you want us to go?
Okay. It's funny. You guys, we were talking before, and you had both said that Eric, I believe you said you liked one movie this year. Was your quote something to that effect? I've got a top 20 movies of
holy
2022.
shit.
I thought this was a great year for film. I think you guys are out of your minds, or maybe I just watched a lot more movies than you. There's a lot of good movies this year. Now, I'm not going to go through all 20 movies. That would be tedious.
Oh, seriously? Why don't you give us like the 20 to 10 for real? I'd just like to hear the names.
You mean like the
if you have
10?
them in order.
You rank
Do you have them in order?
I have them all in order. You want them all in order?
Oh, yeah. I would love to hear that.
I'll go from
really would.
I'm going to go from 20 to 1. I'll go back.
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm
just going to list them off and
this won't be boring at all.
Not leave a lot of talk about it. This won't be boring at all. Listen to me rattle off 20 titles. Although I did lie to you, Eric, there is one movie that I watched this week that made it into my top 20, didn't make it into my top 5. So number 20, Ticket to Paradise. Number 19, Prey. Number 18.
Oh, I never watched that one. Yeah,
The Northman.
talked about it.
Yeah, The Northman at number 18. Number 17, I'm going to give up to Top Gun Maverick, which I watched today.
What?
Yeah.
Did you? Okay, I'm excited.
Number 16, I'm going to give up to Hustle. Number 15, the Finnish film Hatching. Wait, I'm sorry. No, 15 was Fresh, the Hulu horror movie. Fresh. Then 14 is Hatching. 13, another horror movie, The Black Phone. This is what's got me so excited this year. There's so many great horror movies, The Black Phone. Yeah. Number 12, I'm going to give up to Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Number 11, Turning Red. I loved it. Which brings me to number 10, talked about last week, Bros. Number 9, Nope. Number 8, Barbarian. Number 7, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Number 6, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And my top 5, number 5 is Cha Cha Real Smooth. Number 4 is Elvis. Number 3 is The Banshees of Inisherin. Number 2 is Everything Everywhere All at Once. And number 1 is The Batman.
He's the Batman.
He's the Batman. That is my list.
Wow.
So many thoughts. So many thoughts.
It's a great movie. It was a great movie year.
What did he miss?
I'm sure I missed many. I haven't seen Glass Onion comes out on Netflix tomorrow in our time. Looking forward to that. Still haven't seen Tar or Till.
Well, we can amend it on the last show of the year next week too. We could amend any that we didn't get to. So.
And we'll talk about it again when Oscars time rolls around too.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I mean, I saw one of your movies last night that I don't know when we'll talk about it, I guess, soon. Okay. I don't know how we're doing this.
You watched one of those 20 movies?
Yes, I did. You talked about it last week, and I watched it this week. Oh, okay. So, and I don't know. I just don't know how you see it in the top 20. I really disagree strongly. And I was surprised because you were such a. I mean, let's just talk about it, right?
Well, don't be cryptic. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So the Banshees,
dude.
Oh, okay.
You really loved it, right?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Okay, Eric, you have not seen this movie, right?
No. Shit. Can I stick around, or is this?
Well, no spoilers. No spoilers.
No spoilers. I just, I was really excited for it first because I do love Martin McDonagh, so I'm already down. And then the way you described how impressive it was, it really seemed to hit you in a way that you really enjoyed it. That it moved into your top 20 for the year.
Top 3,
yeah. And I just don't. The only thing I'll say, it's a slow burn, okay, whatever. Yeah, it's a plotting film. It takes patience. So maybe that's not for me. I don't know.
That may be the case. But two things for me that really stick out for that movie. One being that it's incredibly simple in its premise, but also profound at the same time, which I may have made that comment last week. And also that I can't think of a movie, and it's hard to do a unique story. I can't think of a movie quite like it, a movie that tracks that exact kind of turn in a relationship. That is a very real thing that happens, and yet I cannot think of a single movie that addresses that. So I thought it was pretty profound.
Yeah. Maybe I'll watch it again, but maybe my hype got too high because of my love of Martin McDonagh's films, and we're just watching Bruges, and I was like, yo, dude, comparing Bruges to the Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah, very different.
Very different. Yeah, very, very different. So it's not fair necessarily. And it's still sitting with me fresh. But that was my initial reactions. I was getting angry through the first 25 minutes of the film. In fact, I wrote it down here in my notes when I keep notes on certain films for the weekly log of doing the show here on Cinema 9, that in caps, all caps. I want to make sure I really did this. This was at about 1:37 a.m. last night. So boring, all caps, several O's on the so boring.
It's not Top Gun Maverick. I'll give it that.
That's the other thing that blew my mind about your list is that you watched it and then it made your top 20.
You made it in.
All the hype, everyone. So it really is this good then, huh?
I just watched it today and I was like, well, God damn it. It's really good. And Tom Cruise, man, that man can really act. That dude, I mean, the reactions and throughout the whole movie, it's just him like reacting to people saying things. And every time I'm like, fuck, I feel for you. I feel for you, man.
I haven't seen it. I know Eric's seen it. Eric has seen it, right? I have not seen it. So, but I'm like the last guy to not see it, the last person to not see it. And it's becomes a real phenomenon. And you, of all people, are not a gung-ho patriot, rah-rah propaganda guy either. So
I did not expect to like this movie. I watched the first half on my laptop, and then I was finally like, I gotta make the switch and like give this a proper due.
Unbelievable! That's wow. So much to say, Eric. Do you want to comment on anything you heard?
You're muted, bud.
Oh, is he muted? Yes.
Say what you will about Martin McDonagh. His films are never boring. What is this? What is this emotion?
It's a 1923. It's set in 1923. It's like an Irish island. It's very, very small. It's a quiet film. It's not Seven Psychopaths.
No, it's not any of his movies. But it is at the same time. I hope you get a chance to watch it, Eric, over the next week so we can talk about it. I'd be curious to see what the third verdict of this film is from our perspective.
Yeah, I almost did it today. I couldn't. Okay, man. Well, dude, just like last year, like when it comes to like overall entertainment, it's different for me. Remember last year I had to say by far the most entertaining piece of content of 2021 was Midnight Mass. Well, not exactly a movie, but a miniseries. This year it's neither, but it was the Depp trial. Most entertainment and most entertaining thing to watch in many, many years.
I love watching society decay.
All that reminds me of is Cable Guy. That's what I think of when you say that. How
the Sweet Brother trial. Yeah, the Sweet Brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Brother, Sweet Brother.
That's all I think of.
Brother.
That was a lot of fun. And no, I couldn't chase that dragon. I never could catch up to the trial. It was just so much fun. But I do like to break my list up. And I do have maybe 10, 12 films into like a love, really liked, and liked. So I did like all of these. Elvis, I thought was a fantastic movie that surprised me. Northman, very, very enjoyable. Not in a rush to get her back around to it, but great experience overall.
Agreed.
So those are my likes. No, I got a couple more just like likes. Turning Red was great. I've seen it a couple of times now. It's a lot of fun. Smile. I mean, Smile's getting shit on for being like lesser than like Barbarian, which is getting compared to. But I had a lot of fun with Smile. Like I said, it's like a 90s horror. For really liked, it's Skinamarink, man. I can't wait till more people see this on Shudder. It's just like it's such a weird experience, and it's not even like a movie. It's just a weird feeling you have for like an hour and a half. It's something. Check it out. Pinocchio.
Dinky dinky dink.
Pinocchio. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio has to be in my
both of you
really liked.
We have a lot of overlap.
Awesome.
Here, bud.
It was awesome, man. It was awesome. Now we're getting into I want to give you my top 5 now. Okay. The first 4 are really liked. Didn't love, but really liked, man. Top, The Black Phone. Black Phone was cool, man. It's a great film. Love The Black Phone. Can't wait for Derrickson. He's strapping on his horror boots again. He's coming right back.
He's great. Underrated.
I did get around to seeing Blonde, Andrew Dominik's Blonde. I thought it was fucking awesome.
It was.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
It didn't make it in my top 20, but I did think it's a really good movie.
Yeah, it was something. Top Gun Maverick is right there for me on number 3. Especially the theater. I mean, it just made me remember how fun it was to be at the movies. And I don't like going to the movies at all, but like I was in the theater having fun, like about ready to give a dude behind me like a fucking high five. Like that's not me.
Bump.
But I would have done it if he would have extended his hand. Okay, here's my top 2, man. Number 2, I watched and I pulled the trigger on this $20 rental. I couldn't wait anymore. The Fabelmans, Spielberg's latest film, is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I watched it this week too.
Oh, let's hear about it.
Did you?
Oh.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Wow. Yeah, it was my number 2 of the year. I thought it was fucking gorgeous movie. I loved it. Well, I didn't love it. I really liked it.
You only loved one movie.
But I
You loved
did
one movie
love
the whole year.
The Batman. The Batman is the one movie this year that I love.
I can't believe both of you guys.
Number one for both of us.
Yeah.
Dude, it's the only movie I watched that movie 3 times this year, maybe 4 times this
Yeah.
year, and I've not done that with any other movie this year.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's look.
Man,
There's a couple.
you torn up about this, Mike.
Look,
We
I
really like the
movies.
movie.
I promise I like movies.
God damn it, you guys! I love that movie.
I feel incomplete here because I haven't seen Wakanda Forever, so I'm going to give it incomplete on that because I still haven't seen it. I really want to see it. I tried to get to the theater this week to see that and Avatar 2 because now that I've seen Avatar, I really want to see that.
Yeah.
So those are 2 incompletes I really want to see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Those are more, they're more tent poles. I admit that freely, but still, they're high on my list. So those are incompletes.
Yeah.
Incomplete.
But I'm not putting the Banshees are not. They're nowhere near. The Banshees is not near my list for 2022 at all. It's just not.
You made that clear. What is on your list?
Well,
You've had weeks.
I liked Hustle. Yeah, Hustle makes the grade.
All right.
Hustle's a good film. I enjoyed it. It's not the best sports movie ever, but in terms of enjoyable films for 2022 that are done by the book, not really reinventing too much, but it's just a rock solid film. Hustle's solid. I'll give you that. And then, I couldn't put it in order here, so that's why I'm just kind of sharing a few films. I did watch Amsterdam, like I said.
So did I.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you did too.
Yep.
All right.
Wow.
And that's I really liked it. I really, really liked Amsterdam a lot. Yeah, I did.
Shit.
I really enjoyed it. I didn't.
Wow.
I mean, David O. Russell. We're gonna do a David O. Russell film here in a little bit with Silver Linings Playbook. That's probably why I chose it too. He's back. He took a break. He made too many movies there. He made Silver Linings Playbook. He made American Hustle and Joy in 3 years, and that was not what he does. He would do a movie every 5 to 7 years. So he took a break. Now he's back with Amsterdam. I want to bring this up now. Might as well bring it up now. Denzel Washington is a Hall of Fame legendary actor. And it's really hard to be his son and step into the same world. I don't have any problem with John David Washington, but there's just no way he's even close to his father. And that's just a hard thing to do because I don't want to do that. But
you can't compare him to his father. You know what you can do is compare him with the other people on screen. And if the goal of a movie star is to stare unblinkingly and speak in one tone of voice all the time,
oh shit,
then you've got yourself a hell of a movie star in John David Washington. I'm sorry, watching Amsterdam, I'm like, this guy is not great. I mean, I don't hate him, but like, he just always talks at the same volume and the same tone and the same thing all the time, no matter what.
And you love Black Klansman. Black Klansman's a great movie.
I love Black Klansman. But now that I've seen a few roles of him in, I'm like, man, like he is not a great actor. I'm sorry.
You said it. You said it much better than me.
What's that, Eric?
I said I loved him in Malcolm and Maria, that movie made with Zendaya, whatever.
I need to see that. That's supposed to be really, that's supposed to be really good. I need to see that one because everything I've seen him in so far has been like, I'm sorry, I just.
Well, he could be in good movies, but it doesn't mean that he's a game-changing actor or even an above-average actor. He's just kind of there. Travis, you said it a lot better than I could. I enjoyed Amsterdam, but to me, he was just like there.
Staring, always staring.
You said it so well. You really nailed it. Yes, you made it very clear. It was just it's a fascinating story in Amsterdam. It's something I didn't know a lot about. I know there's some creative license taken too because it's supposed to be based on a true story, but I know it gets it's kind of loose. I'll say that. However, Amsterdam puts you in a time and place, and it creates this feeling that I was really impressed by. It's not David O. Russell's best by any means, but it's a nice return from Mr. David O. Russell to come back to the screen. And Christian Bale, oddly enough, maybe as good as he's ever been. And I know that's a hard thing to say. I just thought Bale... I know. We've seen him do Dickie in The Fighter, which he won an Academy Award for. We've seen him lose all this weight. We've seen him gain weight and play Dick Cheney in Vice. He's done it all, but he's still as good as he's ever been in this movie. I really thought that his inhabitants of the role in Amsterdam for Christian Bale is what acting's all about. He's still a really good actor, but he's not dominating the screen. He's there, and you're curious and fascinated by him, but he still plays with others really, really well.
I can't hit play. I scrolled past it maybe 50 times this week. I just can't do it. It just looks like a bunch of movie stars walking around, wasted money. I don't know.
No, you got American Hustleitis. You got to get over it, man. You got to get over it.
You're not missing that much.
Okay, I'm not. Yeah,
I'm sorry. I mean, I like. Well, I'll save it for my quarantine viewing picks. What else did you watch? Is there anything you loved?
Another incomplete is Clerks 3. I really want to see Clerks 3. I haven't been able to find it yet. I don't know where it is in Canada. You can rent it. I guess
it's on VOD, or at least in America, it's on VOD. What about movies you did watch?
Shit. Yeah. Other than that, that's. That's pretty much it. There just wasn't a lot that blew my hair back. You guys love scary movies, horror films, and it was a great year. I trust your guys' opinions incredibly when it comes to horror and thrillers and that stuff. So it's very clear that this was a banner year for that, and that's just not my territory. So I tried to look around my list, and there wasn't really anything else. I thought that.
You see any good documentaries?
Not even the Batman? Batman doesn't make your list?
It's fine. The Batman's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's a fine film.
Adequate.
It's a solid film. Look, the Thor: Love and Thunder, that wasn't very good, and all the Marvel movies this year, there wasn't really a Marvel movie I'm like, wow, that was awesome. You know, Doctor Strange was trash.
You haven't seen Wakanda Forever yet, and Spider-Man No Way Home was that was last year.
I saw that one.
That was last year.
That was December last year.
Yeah, Wakanda Forever though is pretty awesome, I think.
Yeah, that's why I said it's an incomplete. But other than that, it just wasn't anything that blew me away. I didn't see Morbius this year. I heard that was amazing. You got me. That's good. Well done. So this year in film for me, maybe I just don't know what I'm doing anymore. Maybe I've lost my way. Maybe I'm no longer the person I thought I was.
Well, you do actually have to watch movies to form an opinion on them.
When I look around the movies, like the best list too, and I get a fresh perspective, I mean, there's just I didn't see a lot of them either. You're right. I didn't see Triple R. I heard that was pretty good too, and I really wanted to see Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's another one I need to see. So there's a lot of incompletes for me here, but that also tells me that the desire to get out to the theater first off is very, very minimal. And then whatever they throw at me on the streaming services is what I'm kind of sticking to. So I don't know what that says about me. I didn't see Nope. I mean, Licorice Pizza was technically late last year, right?
Yeah, that was 2021. Nope is streaming. You can watch that. I mean, out of all these movies that I mentioned, only 3 of them were ones four of them. Okay, 5 of them were ones that I saw in the theaters. But still, the other 15 I did not.
The Whale. I got to get to the theater. I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, the Whale. I got to see. Tar. I want to see. There's a lot of stuff I want to see still.
Yeah, I would just say there's something about me. I need to review my life because I'm not. I'm not like. Where am I? Why am I getting myself into? I didn't. Emancipation. I've heard Emancipation is actually pretty incredible, and you said you never watch it again, but it was.
It's where no, you
it didn't make your top 20.
It didn't. No, it didn't make my top 20. I think it's an important movie everyone should watch. That is what I said. I said everyone should watch it. I'm never going to watch it again, and that's going to be my pat review for that one. I probably won't see it twice, but I do think it's a really important movie that people should watch. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else on the movies of 2022, gentlemen? By the way, I didn't see Till. I don't know if it was good or not. I heard it was okay.
I want to see
I
that.
do
really
want
bad.
to. Yeah.
It's about
That's
time they
another
made
one.
a movie about them, that family.
Way overdue.
Yeah. So that's high on my list of things to see. There's a lot I still need to see, but
Didn't you really like The Woman King?
I didn't make it into my top 20 though.
Okay.
While we're on The Woman King though, I have to address something that I didn't address last week, because I told you guys last week when I was watching The Woman King that I had like 5 or 10 minutes to finish, and I finished it. And as I watched the last, the ending credits, I'm like, man, this music is really fucking good. Like, who is this? This is great. Is this like the same people that did Black Panther? Like, this is really, really good. So I Shazam it. Terrence fucking Blanchard.
No, there's no way.
It's
A good Blanchard score?
Now, regular listeners to our podcast know that there's probably no individual in Hollywood that we've bashed more than composer Terrence Blanchard, because he does terrible, overwrought work. But for the first time, I'm like, man, maybe Spike Lee's the problem. Maybe Spike Lee's always going, go bigger, Terrence, go bigger. The audience can't feel it. Go bigger. Because this was completely unlike anything I'd heard Blanchard do. It was very rooted in African like music, and it was beautiful. I'm like, holy shit, I got to give credit where credit is due. The score for Woman King is really, really good, and is by Terrence Blanchard. Go figure.
Oh, Babylon. Wow. No one saw Babylon.
It's not out really.
Movies out there.
Yeah, Babylon's on my list. I sent you guys the article from Dana Stevens that she described it as a defecating elephant of a movie, which really makes me want to see it, honestly. 3 hours of an elephant shitting sounds promising.
That's something different. I'll say that. All right. Well, hey, 2022, still incomplete. Hopefully I can tie up a few loose ends for next week. I really would like to tie up some of those loose ends. But for now, let's move into what we'd like to recommend for what else we watched the rest of this recent week, because it's the holiday season. I'm sure there's a lot of film watching going on.
I did watch a lot of holiday movies, and every other movie I watched was from this year, trying to get caught up. Now, I'm not going to mention all the holiday movies I saw, although I will mention that I watched You Got Mail, because I've had it in my head for a long time that this is a Christmas movie. And I watched the movie, and it takes place from Thanksgiving to spring. It takes place over like 6 months. It is not a Christmas movie. It just is a life movie that happens to have a Christmas scene in it. So I'm like, well, fuck me. Is the same true for Sleepless in Seattle? The same thing is true for Sleepless in Seattle. The movie takes place from Christmas Day to Valentine's Day. And it's kind of bookended by these holidays, but really only a portion of the movie is about it, which brings me real quickly to Silver Linings Playbook, also definitely not a Christmas movie. It takes place from before Halloween to Christmas Day. It takes place over several months. It's just because it's like in America or the world, Christendom, it happens to feature Christmas. Right. Christendom, as they once used to say. But as far as the stuff that I watched from this year, I watched Amsterdam and was, I thought it was okay. A little overly long, a little hammy. But it was really an immersive period piece. I'll give it that, which I like.
Did no one see the menu, by the way? Just curious.
I haven't seen
damn it. I wanted to see that too.
Yeah. Doesn't look like top 20 material to me, but it's on the list.
I don't know.
Who knows? I'll check it out. I did watch The Fabelmans. This is the one that I had to pull the trigger and spend not $20, but $25 on. Because if I'm going to spend $20 for a movie, I'm going to fucking own it. But I'm not going to rush to watch it again. I thought it was good. I didn't put it in my top 20 for a reason. I thought it was good. I thought it was meandering, very much coming of age. Like here's a series of vignettes, almost like a Christmas story. It's like, here's this happening. Now here's this happening. Now here's this happening. Now here's this happening. I also think that the name The Fabelmans is the worst name for a fictional family I've ever heard in my life. And it's one of the worst names for a movie. The Fabelmans, because it's not the Spielbergs. It's a fable. Get it?
Wow. That's why
I hate it so much.
That's why they use that?
Of course they did.
Fabelmans.
The Fabelmans. It's better to call it Storyman, I guess. But I just fucking hate it.
That's terrible. No, it really is terrible.
I think it's
come on, Spielberg.
But so I do think there's a lot of good moments in the movie. I like the movie. I think it's one of the better Spielberg movies I've seen in a couple of years, because I think he's been on a little bit of but still nothing I'm in love with. I checked out Black Adam. You know, I got to give it its shot. Couldn't possibly be as bad as the critics said it was, and it wasn't. Was it incredibly predictable and formulaic and everything you kind of expect? Yeah, it was. I'm not bummed that they're already saying they're not going to make a sequel to it because it didn't really demand one, but I didn't hate it.
What a ringing endorsement.
I didn't hate it. I checked out I Love My Dad. Have you guys heard of this movie? The Patton Oswalt stars in a true story written and directed and starring the guy that it actually happened to. This guy, his father and him were estranged, so his father catfished him on Facebook and pretended to be a woman that he fell in love with for like months. And that's the movie. So you kind of watch that premise unfold, and it's as you would expect. It's unsettling and disturbing and funny, and also kind of sweet in a few places too, because it's like the links this guy will go to try and reconnect with his son because he's such a fuck up of a father. And if you like stuff that Patton has done, like Young Adult, which we did on this show at one point, and big fan, then this fits in neatly with that kind of satirical kind of black comedy stuff that he does. I Love My Dad. It was, again, like it's very premise based, so once it starts to unfold, you're like, okay, I see where this is going. But it was enjoyable. And then I watched Causeway with Jennifer Lawrence, aka Paint Drying.
The fuck is Causeway?
It's the newest film. It's the newest A24 film starring Jennifer Lawrence and Brian Tyree Henry, which incredibly strong performance from Jennifer Lawrence. So slow, just incredibly dull. I mean, in some ways I really liked it and respected it because like the performances were good and it was an interesting story because it's very much a story about a woman and a man becoming friends, just friends, and you don't really see that a lot. And deals with a lot of like mental or not like physical disability issues. She's coming back from Afghanistan and she's all fucked up. She had a head injury and stuff. So there is some stuff that's worth checking out here, but man, it was just incredibly slow. I'd say the best movie I watched this week was Top Gun Maverick. I mean, it was fun. It was surprisingly emotional, and a damn good movie.
Are you one of these kids that grew up with Top Gun in the 80s and were like all into it and all that?
No, I was never a fan of the original. I mean, I've seen it many times, but I've never cared for it. I mean, the same way I've seen Dirty Dancing and some other classics from the era. It's like, okay, I'll walk through the room while this is on.
I love Dirty Dancing, but I only saw Top Gun like the original like 5 years ago, and I was like, okay, it's kind of fun, but I loved Maverick. I think it's so much fun, so much energy.
And it's really good in terms of like being a 35-year-old later sequel or whatever, however long it was. In that it doesn't Force Awakens the thing by just like repackaging what you've already seen before, but it does touch on a lot of familiar notes that make sense in the context of the new story that they're telling. In particular, Goose's death being such a huge thing from the first movie to carry over into the second movie. I thought that was really, really cool to make that such a huge part of the story.
Wow. How about that?
What about you, Eric? Watch any movies?
I went into some weird directions this year, this week. Just some odd detours on Tubi. I went to some weird places, beginning with 1998's remake of Rear Window starring Christopher Reeve.
Oh, yeah. I remember
I saw Christopher Reeve's face. I'm like, I'm hitting play. I love Christopher Reeve. Let's see how this turned out. Because like I'm a huge Rear Window fan, like as evidenced here by this beautiful framed poster.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, how the fuck do you remake a classic like this? And luckily, like, they don't just like film the same script and update it to like the 90s. Like it's like different characters in like kind of a similar situation. He's not just playing LB Jeffries and like in the same scenario. It kind of starts out pretty damn good. And I was impressed by like what Chris Reeve was able to do considering his limitations. He actually does really powerful work. Like you want to talk about somebody, like we talk a lot of the times about how some actors can just do something without having to like move at all. This guy literally can't move. He's doing good work with just his eyes and emotion, and he was fantastic. The problem is like the movie goes goes off the rails. In the third act, like it's not even clear that there was a murder. No one's implicated. It's not solved. Nothing even happens. It just kind of like peters out. I was left baffled. It's very bizarre. At the end, Robert Forster, the detective, and he comes in. He's like, "Well, I checked into it. Nope, that didn't happen." And like, we still don't have a body. And Chris Reeve is like, "Oh shit." And like it ends.
Jesus Christ.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Fade to black.
Yeah, like nothing happens. But you know, a fun exercise. Oh god, I'll tell you what wasn't fun. I hit play on Silent Fall because I saw this cast from '94. I'm like Dick Dreyfuss, John Lithgow, Linda Hamilton, Liv Tyler. Oh my god, it's like early '90s, and like remember the '90s? Like they attempt to like address like a mental or physical ailment, and they're just not equipped to deal with the reality of like of that sort of thing. This is like a classic textbook case of this. Like they take on autism like in a kid who like supposedly saw the murder. So how is Richard Dreyfuss gonna like how is he gonna get the information out of the kid with autism? He's got to connect with him, and like he's got to like do the dumb, like cheesy, obvious tricks with him. It's cringeworthy. I had to turn away from the screen many times out of embarrassment. JT Walsh, Niebaum himself checking in. Like the script is so stupid. It's such a bad movie.
I think
more cringeworthy than Gryffindor's Tribe.
No, nothing is more cringeworthy than Gryffindor.
Nothing is.
I actually saw Silent Fall in theaters. I'm pretty sure.
Did you?
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, not a good movie. Forgettable.
It's fucking terrible, man. And then I watched Watcher. Like I saw Michael Monroe. I'm like, hit play immediately. Obviously, I watched her do laundry.
There it is.
The movie's solid. I mean, it's fun. It's kind of like okay, it's over. I'm like, yeah, just saw Michael Monroe sitting around doing nothing. But you have no problem with me.
Yeah, I didn't mind that either. I mean, it wasn't a great movie, but
nothing happens.
Like her,
she's beautiful, and that's that.
Watcher
from Watcher.
The 1988 movie, The Watchers with Corey Haim.
Well, I did watch that this year, but no, not that movie.
Also, not The Watcher with Keanu Reeves and James Spader.
Or Watcher in the Woods. It's not that either. It's one of the many other movies with Watcher in the title.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any like really terrific Watcher films. They're just one's okay. The rest sucks.
The Haim one.
Watchers. I saw this that's on YouTube 1 and 2. It's like out of print. You can't find it anywhere, but it's on YouTube. I gotta watch that.
Yeah, that's where I
watch Men. It's good.
It's been a while. So I've been bashing the Grinch, like Ron Howard. I've been like, this is Ron Howard's worst movie. This is such a fucking mess. Like this trash movie. It's like clearly just a set with everybody doing whatever the fuck they want to. There's no direction. It's total chaos. Horse shit for many, many years. I fucking watched it a few days ago. I was chuckling a few times.
It's probably the same day I watched it. I watched it a few days ago too, and I'm like, God damn it, this movie's pretty good.
I'm up on HBO Max, Travis, and I'm like, fuck, I love Jim Carrey so much, man. I just wanted to see him having fun, goofing around, and he had me laughing. Like, and then when you look into do research on the making of this movie, is fucking bonkers.
Yeah,
but like, yeah, he had me chuckling a few times. Like, it's still a very sloppy, haphazard effort. But it had me laughing, dude. I'll forgive it. But I love the Fablemans. Dumb name, sure. But yeah, I just thought it was an interesting. I just thought it was an engaging movie about family, and I thought it was inspiring. And it had just like characters that seemed real to me, and like the little moments here and there. A lot of it seemed like, look, Steven, we know like this is important to you, but like we don't really care. There was some of that going on. Like, audience don't care about this. Great, you're a legend, but like, we don't care. Like, this, put it in your journal.
You're like working. Yeah, you're working out some family stuff here.
You're working out some stuff, but this isn't a movie. Like, people aren't going to sit in the audience like caring about it. Put it in your journal. But I liked it. I liked the way it was put together. Janusz Kaminski, he's coming in hard with this fucking UFO lighting. There was one scene like it was like in a library where a couple of kids are talking in a library. They had no business putting the fucking UFO lights in all of the windows. It looked like a goddamn spaceship was about ready to attack everybody in the library. I kind of wish Janusz Kaminski would
Retire?
Okay,
Yeah.
retire.
Yeah.
Retire.
Or that Steven Spielberg would start working with a different cinematographer again.
I'm so sick of it.
I am too, man. Like I felt the same exact way. Like it's giving like all of his work the same feel, the same vibe. And it's very much like a early 2000s fucking kind of like the lens flare
came in and the flares and all that stuff. It's like,
I will say this about The Fabelmans though. I am ready for Michelle Williams to get her 5th Oscar nomination and perhaps finally a win. I would not mind seeing that at all.
Yeah, I remember me bashing Silent Fall. I think this is a very powerful depiction of mental instability. I'm not sure what exactly was going on there, but something off kilter that was told honestly.
Yeah,
I love the movie, man, and I suggest anyone watch it. I don't know, $20, but it's fantastic. I turned the movie off, inspired, feeling good, very interested to know more about things. Yeah, man, that's about it from me, dude. Stay away from fucking Rear Window, dude. Who the fuck wrote that? They just all right, let's just end it.
I think most people will stay away. You're all right. Don't worry about it.
No one's gonna watch that made-for-TV movie on Tubi from 35 years ago, but you.
Awesome score. Like I went to try to find the score. Like it was fucking incredible.
Wow. Well, hey,
Hannah,
look.
like sleepwalking through her role. Like, why is she in this?
Well, because she was always in things. That's what she did. She was there.
She acted.
Daryl Hannah, I was there.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Look, Fabelmans, I got to see it, I guess. I do want to see it. I do, you know what you mean, though. I saw the trailer, and the way it looks, it's got that very refined, it's like this guy's a pro director, and the vision and the feel and the look of it, it's all too refined at times, and it's
Michael, if I may, that's the problem. You've nailed it. For the type of small, familial story he's trying to tell,
yeah,
this huge direction and production value is the wrong call. It would have played better if it was just a small TV movie about this family. Instead, you got this clearly $150 million budget on display. It's just felt strange.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm not surprised to hear that. Well, I watched, like I said, Amsterdam. I would definitely recommend it. I liked it. It's not his best work ever, but it's a solid film. Amsterdam, now available on HBO Max.
Didn't you watch that last week?
Well, I watched it for this week. The day after I actually watched it right after we did the show last Friday night. So technically, yeah, it was a while ago, but it was after the last episode.
Okay.
I know you're a stickler, so
I am. But I also I also have a terrible memory for my own life, and thought that we had discussed this on the show.
Yeah, well, we did the show last Friday night, and I watched it right after. And Leanne was terrified right off the bat because there was something gross that happened, but we got through that. Nothing else gross really happened after that. So,
all right.
Boy, I had never seen this movie ever, and I finally watched it. I've been avoiding it for a long time. Seems really boring, and I like sports. But to me, this isn't really sports. It's a bizarre passion that people have for horse racing. But I watched Seabiscuit. Gary Ross. Sure. Gary Ross is always very reliable. Pleasantville, Seabiscuit. He'll get the job done. In a way, he's kind of like Spielberg and his old pal there. It'll look good, and it'll be just good enough that you'll say, that's a pretty solid film. So, yeah.
More people will leave the theater happy.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't feel overwhelmed.
Well, you got Chris Cooper and Jeff Bridges. I mean, that's pretty heavy hitter territory. Those guys kill it. I didn't know that Chris Cooper was even in the movie, nor did I know Jeff Bridges was in the film, because all I remember was Tobey Maguire and a horse. So that was cool. Good film. Better than I thought it would be. The Banshees of Inisherin, man, I covered that. So yeah, whatever. I'll try. Maybe I'll watch it again. Guys, we talked about this on the show, I swear, when Ezra Miller came up. Ezra Miller. By the way, it's over, right? James Gunn is 86, the entire Snyderverse, right? We're moving on from that world now.
Yeah, I mean, the Flash movie is probably still going to come out, but
oh, it is.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't. But I mean, at this point, yeah, DC is in a very strange state of affairs, but necessary, I think.
Which one of you assholes said that maybe this was a good performance or a good movie, but I'm really pissed about it that I had to watch this. We need to talk about Kevin. I mean, what the fuck, man? Why would I watch some bizarro shit, man? I'll go to some far links and watch some fucked up shit, but this thing was so intensely brutal. I mean, why would anyone ever repeat view We Need to Talk About Kevin ever is beyond me. I don't know how that would happen.
A widely regarded film. I believe that we were both assholes that told you it was a good movie. I wouldn't watch it over and over again, but I do think it's worth seeing. It was about as awkward. I mean, like I'd hold it up there with Killing of a Sacred Deer. Like if it's kind of like very specific kind of movie. I couldn't get through the house that Jack built, but it'd probably be in the same ballpark.
I would say that Rudderless was done better if you want to look at that type of
course.
I think
Rudderless is a masterpiece. I love Rudderless.
Yeah, vastly superior to this, in my opinion, if you're looking through that scope of family tragedy. Boy. You watch this 11 years later, and Ezra Miller, what we know about him now, it really doesn't seem like acting at all. It really doesn't. It just doesn't. You can't watch that movie now and be like, oh, that guy's really acting. No. Or he's just acting all the time in his life and on screen. So, okay. Pam and Tommy. I want to give a lot of credit to Sebastian Stan. He mastered Tommy Lee, who is like the master douchebag. Sebastian Stan is Tommy Lee, and he killed it. He should get all the awards for playing Tommy Lee to a T. Not just the look, but the feel and the way his dictation, his cadence, the way he speaks in that really bro douchebaggy way that Tommy Lee does things. Excellent. The show's kind of bleh, I mean, it's interesting to find out how that kind of went down after the fact, but the show kind of falls off after the first episode or two. But I've never seen a better depiction of a rock star being shown as a raging asshole, because that's what these people are. These people who get everything and have yes people around them, they are the kings of the assholes. They're the world-class assholes of all assholes, because no one ever says no to them, and they just get what they want whenever they want. And if someone says no to them, just like in the show, well, fuck you, you're fired. I'll find somebody else, dude. It's just, it would surprise me that how clearly they did that with Tommy Lee. And apparently Tommy Lee gave his blessing to the show too, which I guess maybe that gives him a little bit of credit for doing that, because he looks like a real dick in that show. But Sebastian Stan killed it. He really did. And then this Welcome to Chippendales is a great show.
Yeah.
People. Chippendales, you're like, what? Chris Farley, Patrick Swayze, SNL skit, that was classic. But there's Kumail.
Yeah.
Nailed it. I mean, he is outstanding. He has shown his acting chops to me. Hardcore, dramatic, serious, hardcore shit going on in this show that I had no idea about any of this, and now I became immersed in it because the show's not finished. I think there's 6 episodes out now, a couple more to go before this is over. But I also listened to a whole podcast about this. There is so much real life shit going on that connects with Dorothy Stratton's murder and stuff too. It's wild. It's like, what? Wow, this is a crazy background here. Strongly recommend Welcome to Chippendales. It's a new show that I think is fascinating. And not even for true crime freaks, just really well done period piece of late 70s into the 80s with, what's his face? The guy who was in the first season of White Lotus, who I really like, Murray Bartlett. He's really good in this show. Awesome performance as well. Him and Kumail going head to head. Really liked it. I'm strong recommend on that. And that's pretty much it. I'll leave it there. I did also watch Bad Moms Xmas, which I think is a horrible film. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, maybe people would be shocked. I don't know, but yes. All right, there it is. So we're moving in now to the main focus of the show. We are thrilled that you've joined us for this week's episode, Silver Linings Playbook. And in the spirit of Silver Linings Playbook, we have an email from Christian, which plays into this. Christian emailed us at Cinema9Pod. Yeah, he emailed us, cinema9pod@gmail.com. Christian says, can't wait to hear if I should revisit Silver Linings. I recall hating it when I finally got past all the hubbub and praise around the film and gave it a go. All I can remember is a bunch of unlikable maniac characters with whining and anger problems. Everyone had their silver lining panties in a bunch for some reason. Sports, was it? Pills? Whatever. American problems. Anyway, been a minute. Love you guys. Talk soon. Christian. Thanks, Christian.
All right.
Couldn't Yeah, could have said it better myself. All right, so this is a David O. Russell film, and it came out in 2012, late 2012. Travis Roy, do you remember the first time you saw this movie starring Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro, Jackie? No, not that Jackie.
Different Jackie. Jackie Weaver. I actually do remember seeing this in theaters, but there's no story. I just remember like me and my girlfriend at the time went to the theater, watched this movie, liked the movie. I remember it being in Shazam existed because I remember like Shazamming the last song and being like, Alabama Shakes, is it? I like this. And that's about all I remember about it. But yes, I saw it in theaters. Which I'm glad I did. I actually, real quick, I mean, because Christian clearly saw it after all of the hoopla had kind of built up around it. I don't think that I had that going in. I think I just kind of saw it because it was like, the new David O. Russell movie with these actors in it. So I don't think I had all those that baggage when I went to see it.
West Virginia at the time still, or
I was I was in West Virginia at the time. I would have seen this in Huntington, West Virginia, I believe, is where I saw it. Perhaps Ashland,
Marshall,
Kentucky, one or the other. Yep.
This is appointment viewing. This is 2012 with David O. Russell coming off The Fighter, which is one of my favorite films of the 21st century. So I was there opening night and walked out of the theater having loved the film, wanting to see it immediately over again. I do remember very, very specifically groaning at that third act. We'll get into the way this film kind of wraps itself up, but I do remember being like a little bit upset with David O. Russell for his choices, or Matthew Quick, whoever wrote this book. I'd be interested to see the parallels between the script and the book. But yeah, overall, man, I love the movie. Seen it many, many times since, Michael. And of course, I know this is one of your favorite movies, so I'm interested to see when you first saw this.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of labels put on me when this movie came out because, there was a sports element about football. People think I like football, and it's true. I've enjoyed football over the years. I remember seeing this poster, though, in a movie theater before I saw it. And I was like, what the hell is this? Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Jennifer Lawrence was a fresh face to me then. I hadn't seen Winter's Bone yet, which came out in 2010.
No, talk
which
about
is a great film.
A memorable first viewing. Eric, you remember seeing that together?
I'm trying to remember what you made us that night.
White chicken chili.
It was at your apartment.
I made white chicken chili.
That was fantastic.
We watched it. Eric used to have a huge projector, and we would once a week watch a different movie together, the three of us. That was fun.
Winter's Bore, the first time I saw it.
I love
Winter's Bore.
Part 2. Second time.
Insufferable Bastards podcast is checking it. Hello, and welcome, Insufferable Bastards. That's quite a title. Hey, folks, I'm going to say no, it doesn't hold up, only because I remember being psyched to see it. Then I saw it, but today I remember nothing about it.
Well, that's why we review them, so we can see how, if we think it still holds up, I guess. I haven't seen it many times since. I've watched it maybe once or twice since, but over the last 10 years, not many times. I really wish I was paying it.
I just wish I was paying attention to his comments because he was really paying attention to the show here. He said, "Hey, is that the kid with the arrow movie? Yeah, that's we need to talk about Kevin. Perfect for Christmas." Yep. I'm not sure what that was in reference to. And then is family tragedy a subgenre?
Family tragedy.
Yeah, subgenre of drama, I guess.
But probably. But yeah, I didn't know who Jennifer Lawrence was yet. Of course, I would fall in love with her on the screen. I thought she was, this was quite a performance back in the day when I saw it. And I saw it at the little Birmingham theater there in Birmingham, Michigan, just off of Woodward. It's a real tiny theater. It was the smallest theater I've ever been in terms of size of a screening because they have these smaller ones in that theater. I think it's the Maple. I think that's what it's called, or the Birmingham 8. Either way, there's only like 12 or 15 seats in this tiny little thing. It's super intimate. It's not a full size movie theater, but it's bigger than like a TV. Obviously, it's a projected image on this. It was weird. It was very intimate. I've never watched a movie there since.
I haven't been there, but I've been to theaters similarly where it's like this was like a viewing station more than a theater.
Yeah, it really is.
A commercial for this theater, the Birmingham 8. Bigger than a TV.
8 feet by 8 feet.
It was, I've never had experience like it. In fact, I might go see a movie there again soon just to see if it's still that way. It's got to be that way still because it's kind of a kitschy smaller. It's a posh area too, so I don't know. Maybe they're allowed to do that because that's what they can do. I don't know. Either way, I finally saw the movie there in December. I went on a date with a girl that had just met, and we watched it there together. And I just remember becoming very overwhelmed by this. It was December 2012, and I was a teacher, and I thought, I was 31 years old, and I'm like, okay, I got life figured out. Which is, that's funny. I clearly did not have life figured out, but it was, I remember being moved, and when we walked out of the theater, not like when I saw Love and Other Drugs, by the way, where that woman grilled me on that day, like, you hated it, didn't you? Hated it. You hated it. No, it wasn't like that. She was more like, that movie was boring, wasn't it? I was like,
dang.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
Boring.
Yeah, she wasn't that impressed. She's a medical doctor. Maybe she had high standards. I don't know. But either way.
Was there a second date?
There was, yeah. And then there was no third date. So I just remember really enjoying the movie with her.
Middling standard.
Yeah. Maybe. She did ghost me. So maybe she really did have high. She's like, this guy's trash. So that's fine. If you're out there, today, I can't remember your name. I wish I could remember your name. It was a very unique name that I've never heard in my life. If you're out there, I hope you're doing well. All the best to you.
All right.
So that was my experience. All right. So as far as the rating on this, IMDb, it's got to be a big hit. David O. Russell's a popular director. I'm not saying it's 8 territory.
I think it's going to be 8s.
You do? Okay, well, go ahead. Give us.
I'll say 8.0.
Yeah, I'll say 7, 9.
Yeah, I would say a 7.7. Yeah, a little bit lower than 8. Oh, I nailed it! I'm not even kidding. It must be burned in my memory. It must be burned in my memory because I like this movie. I nailed it. That's unusual. I get to do that. Yay! Woohoo! As far as Rotten Tomatoes, this movie came out in 2012, so we should have some wonderful tomato reviews. I think Destin Thompson's going to check in on this one. I feel really good about it, guys. I do.
I think he's retired by this point. He's well into the Obama administration, working for them by this point.
Yeah, but he came out of retirement because the movie was... No, okay, I won't say that. Destin would never do that. But 92% from the critics. That's an outstanding score. And 86 from the audience. So pretty tight, fairly tight. Little more so. I'm kind of surprised that the critics liked it a little bit more. It's not a huge gap.
It was a critical darling.
It was?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what Christian's email was referring to. I mean, when this movie came out, I mean, like it may have been overhyped by the time it was like Oscar season, because like there was a lot of hot air being blown around this movie, I think.
Oh yeah, of course. Jennifer Lawrence won an Academy Award. You're right. Never mind.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes. Yeah.
That makes. Wait? Do we have another?
Dude, it was
Jackie
nominated.
Weaver?
It was nominated. She was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. De Niro was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Bradley Cooper was nominated for Best Actor. It was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. And it was nominated for Best Film. It got all of the top 5 nominations.
Well, there you go.
That's critical acclaim.
Yes, that's about as critically acclaimed as it gets. That's very true. As far as those critics, what they said on Rotten Tomatoes, how about this? Oh, I think we did this guy last time. I'm starting to get in the groove of this guy. Bob Mondello.
The big head?
Yeah.
Bob Mondello, the large head that suits his
Nailed
name.
it. Very good, Eric. Yes. Writer-director Russell is just the guy to bring out and then calm, in parentheses, the manic dysfunction in these folks.
Nobody does manic families like David O.
Yeah, going back to the Flirting with Disaster days, that's just what he does. Yeah.
He's very good at it.
I'll give him credit. Let's see. Lisa Schwartzbaum from Entertainment Weekly on January 4th, 2013 said the following. A crazy beaut of a comedy that brims with generosity and manages to circumvent predictability at every turn.
It's generous.
She's going for the polysyllabic approach to that review.
Does she? Does it manage to circumvent predictability at every turn?
No.
Brilliant. Brevity is best. Yes. I think Eric already mentioned that earlier when he was alluding to that in the third act, probably. Let's see. Perry Nemiroff? Perry Nemel?
Yeah, Perry Nemiroff.
Oh, Perry Nemiroff. Offers the satisfaction you'd expect from a rom-com and feel-good sports movie, but Lawrence and Cooper's delicate treatment of their characters makes it far more than a fleeting source of entertainment. It's more than a fleeting source of entertainment, guys. which I guess happens a lot in movie world. It's all movies are fleeting. They just come and
well,
go.
I think he's trying to say it's elevated beyond the average romantic comedy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Perry's a she's cute little brunette, and I think like for me, when I walk away from the theater, there's a lot of times I'll watch a movie, I will never ever think about it ever again. But yeah, this one I wanted to get back into the theater immediately. I definitely don't see this as a fleeting experience.
Well, and I think that the reviewer makes a really good observation here that a lot of it's the casting. I know that Mark Wahlberg was supposed to do this movie, and man, I don't think it would have worked. I mean, I like Wahlberg okay, but I don't think it would have worked with Bradley Cooper or with him instead of Cooper. And I know that they had interviewed a ton of people. I know Andrea Riseborough was the only name that comes to mind, but they had a bunch of other people in mind for Tiffany's role before they got to Jennifer Lawrence. And Eric or Mike, you already said that like you fell in love with her in this movie. My all-time like I fall in love with you when I watch the movie is Neve Campbell in 3 to Tango, but I think that Jennifer Lawrence might give her a run for her money on this. Wow. It's hard not to fall deeply in love with this character. I mean, she's a very lovable character.
She's crass as fuck. She wears it on her sleeve.
She's just real. She's just real, no bullshit. Fucking like she owns her flaws, and she's beautiful and fierce and strong. I think she's very, very, very much. I love this character. And, her performance is what makes the character in a lot of ways. The looks that she gives and that kind of stuff is all very, both of them just, it's a good story, but the casting of both of these actors, I think, was critical to the success of this movie.
I think Vince Vaughn came up for Pat a lot. I mean, I was watching this and I was thinking Vince Vaughn many times, like the fast talking, like positivity.
God, I don't want Vince Vaughn with anxiety and bipolar disorder. I'm sorry. It sounds exhausting.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know if I see that. That's just me. A couple more quickly because we got Goody Coons here. Goody Coons is checking in on this. But Rex Reed first says this. There's nothing wrong with the overrated Jennifer Lawrence that some serious acting lessons couldn't improve.
Wow. And then she wins the Oscar. Eat those words, bud.
Damn.
Yeah, he wrote that on November 20th, 2012. That was right before the movie went mainstream. There's nothing wrong with the overrated Jennifer Lawrence that some serious acting lessons couldn't improve. What the hell? That's bogus, Rex Reed. Get a clue. And then Bill Goody Coons. You're off the mark there, Rex. Goody Coons said, for a movie that seems at times to have no idea what it's trying to do, Silver Linings Playbook is compulsively watchable.
If Goody Coons was a candy bar, what do you think that would be in it?
Nougat.
Does he seem like nougat?
I know. That's exactly what I thought. Nougat for some reason.
I'll take another Goody Coons. Another Goody Coons.
Nougat, pretzel.
The nougat peanut.
It's basically a take 5. Is that what it becomes with nougat?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Wow. Well, this movie was reviewed by a billion people, but Bill, take 5 Goody Coons. Thanks, Bill. But yes, Jennifer Lawrence, boy, she just, she really, so few movies did someone strike me in that way where you don't want to say, because I've always delicately walked this balance of these are people who put themselves out there on a screen to millions of people and they perform a role, but they're not your friend. They're not your lover. They're not your crush, but what they do when they create these performances is open to interpretation for you as a viewer. And when I saw this movie the first time, I was just blown away by her performance. And I was truly like, wow, this woman's incredible. She hit me hard with her performance, and it stuck with me in a way that I was drawn to Jennifer Lawrence's character, and I couldn't wait to see the next stuff that she did. And I never felt like she got back to what she was able to do in this film. She's a solid actress. I know some of us hate Mother, but she's good in that. And there's other really roles where she's solid.
I think she's an incredibly talented actor. I think that she's really, really good. But has she been as electric as she is in this movie? I mean, for all the credit that I give to the acting, there is really strong writing here as well. This is a really believable, nuanced character with flaws and secret motivations that are not telegraphed obviously throughout, and like it's a complex character, and she served it well.
Yeah, and she also turned this into, she went to the franchise with the Mockingbird, the Hunger Games stuff.
Yeah.
So
and
which is, no, I
X-Men.
don't blame her for that.
And X-Men.
Oh, right, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which got destroyed because it just ended so badly. But First Class, the first two were really good. Yeah.
First two were great. And then it goes downhill. But
yes. But she's outstanding as Mystique. You're right.
Yeah.
She's outstanding as Mystique. And I'm not a big Hunger Games fan, but she gets the job done there. I don't think she ever got the writing she ever got here, because in American Hustle, she's actually really good in American Hustle, but it's a really different character who you really don't. I know Eric hates American Hustle talk, but she's not somebody that you want to she can draw you in, but she's cruel and she's got manic issues that push her into depressive stuff that makes her want to be codependent and also kind of not likable in a way. So it's just different.
She's incredibly young. She's only 31, I think now. She has been nominated twice, won once for an Academy Award. And I think that there's plenty of decades of her coming, I hope, with more work. So I think that we'll continue to get some. I agree that she hasn't had quite this kind of role, but I don't think it's far from her reach.
Okay, so American Hustle was a very showy role for her, and I do think she was kind of showing off in it, and she doesn't like do that in this at all. She's much more reserved in this and kind of bold in her choices. Like, I don't see any of these vain actors like Anne Hathaway, who was also talked about for this, like making these kind of bold choices, like mugging and doing like making these silly faces and being kind of raunchy and all this sort of stuff.
What about what she does in the diner though? She goes apeshit in the diner, and there's scenes where she just hams it up a bit for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of that's in the script, clearly, or almost certainly. It's fun. I can kind of imagine Anne Hathaway being able to pull this off. Certainly better than any of the actors we've discussed that were up for the Pat role. I think Anne Hathaway is maybe one of the few people I think could have done this okay. But again, I mean, it's an Academy Award winning performance, an extremely memorable performance from a powerful Hollywood actor in Jennifer Lawrence. I'm glad it went the way that it did.
She comes in, I think, 25 minutes into the film, which is a big chunk.
Yeah.
And I mean, for a lot of the movie, she's kind of fucking with Pat, who is unstable.
Well, she's unstable.
Yeah. But Pat's not, I mean, like,
she's not fucking with him. She's kind of in love with him, like, from the start, right? I mean, I feel like she's smitten with him, like, right from the fucking get-go. Because as she accuses her sister, you just like me being around because I'm more fucked up than you. I think there's part of this character that likes Pat because he's more fucked up than her, but she likes him right from the start.
She also manipulates him for several weeks, if not months.
Yes. We find that out later, right? Because she's working with Pat's parents behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Which is what you find out later on, which I don't see. I don't know anything about the book that much. I never read the book.
No.
So I don't know the source material. I don't think any of us, nobody read the book, right?
No.
Yeah. So I just don't know how that was decided upon. It was a source part of a novel, or did David O. Russell say, hey, let's have her working behind the scenes? It kind of bothered me that she was working behind the scenes and that it wasn't more naturally developing in terms of how Pat and Tiffany evolve with one another. But it also makes a lot of sense for why she shows up running with him a lot while he's out there with his garbage bag doing his thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's not that uncommon when you're trying to get with someone and maybe like to like get some assistance from other people that are looking out for their best interests to a degree. Not so long as you're not being manipulative. I mean, like, I mean, okay, so the false letter and all that is like, okay, that's a separate thing. And I think that there is an issue that goes, a bigger problem with me, because I give her a pass because she's a fucked up, pretty young person who's in love with someone who's in love with someone else. So she's trying to make that work. So I give her
her husband just died.
Right. Who I don't give a pass in the movie is Cliff Patel. This guy is not a great therapist. I mean, why are you showing up at the family house? Like, why are you telling him he even tells Pat at one point to like that it would impress Nikki if he got to know Tiffany better. Like, that's a terrible motivation. There's a bunch of stuff that Patel does. I'm like, Jesus, that is a breach of trust. That's not okay.
Yeah, it's another terrible example of therapists in movies. It's just the worst.
Yeah, he's more
all
of a
it's
friend.
bullshit. Yes.
Find a strategy. Okay, doctor. Thank you so much for your help.
Find a strategy, Pat. You'll be fine. Yes, that's bad. It's bogus. This is a common trope in movies. Counselors and therapists fucking their clients and their patients. It's so dumb, or just like fucking with them, or going way over
Having
border
no
boundary lines.
Right,
yes,
right.
no boundaries. And I think this is where the script got messed up, is when they have that scene at the Philadelphia Eagles game. They go to the tailgate. You know, Pat goes. His father, Robert De Niro, Pat Sr., got banned decades ago because he's a psycho about the Eagles and beats everybody up. So Pat goes with his brother, and magically Dr. Patel shows up with the Asian invasion, as it's called, and which happens to lead to a fight because these bigoted Philly fans roll in and start saying things about them.
Yeah,
and I wonder, why did this? There's just so unlikely. Philadelphia Eagles are a huge deal in Philadelphia, which is a massive city.
My God.
Philly is not a cornfield town. It's not something like, oh, hey, we all know each other at the local high school football game. It would be extremely unlikely that the Dr. Patel and Pat would show up together even near the same tailgate of a massive city.
I have to strongly disagree with you. As someone who lived there for 7 years, I would routinely run into people that I knew in parts of the city all the fucking time. On subways, I'd be on the bus. I'd just drive by someone I knew on the street, like, holy shit, there's so and so. It is a big small town, for one, and for two, like, they don't live in Philly. They live in Jenkintown. They live in, or not Jenkintown. That's where Bradley Cooper's from. They're from they're in Delco. They're upper Darby.
Oh.
They're from Delco, which, I mean, like, or Delaware County for the uninitiated. And he is such a Delco bro, like living in his fucking in his jersey and all that. Like, I mean, like, it's such a specific kind of person, the Delco dude. And I think they do a really good job with that, with the accent and all that. But yeah, no, I'm gonna have to disagree, because I mean, Philly is a big town. It's not a big city. It's a big town, in my opinion.
That may be true, but it just seemed like convenient. It seemed unnecessary. Like,
sure.
he doesn't need to see his doctor in the situation, because then the doctor ends up in the house when they have this big argument about it because everybody gets in trouble, blah, blah, blah.
Here's a better question. Is there only one cop in the whole fucking town of Upper Darby?
Dash Mihawk clones all over the place.
Doesn't he even show up at the fucking event, the dancing event? I believe he's in the audience watching. Like, what the hell is Dash Mihawk doing there?
Because Nikki shows up. Yep. He's like watching over her because of this restraining order. Apparently, cops get specific orders for one restraining order, which they're responsible for in perpetuity until it's over.
And if the cops get called at 3 a.m, like, he's like parked outside the house just waiting to come inside.
Staking it out.
That kid, by the way, that kid across the street who's wants to record everything, that's so funny. There's this annoying kid who's like, it's true to life to me. I thought that kid was very realistic and hilarious. And when Pat gets so pissed, Pat Sr. By the way, Robert De Niro had mailed it in for a long time. And for me, this was like his last great performance in my mind at the time when I saw this film.
No, I agree. I don't know if that's his last, because I like The Irishman quite a bit, but this is
the time.
This is epic. This is like classic De Niro. And when he tells that dude that he's going to break the camera over his head and come back and interview him about how it feels to have the camera broken over his head, probably the funniest part in the whole fucking movie.
Yes.
I remember sitting in the theater, like thanking whoever, like, that we have another good De Niro performance, because I had given up. Like, when you wind back the clock, I mean, it's almost Heat. That's like 15, 17 years. Like, it's
Meet the Parents. He was solid in, and he got a lot of publicity
he got into
for
these comedies. Like, he was doing all this silly shit and shit. Parroting.
Metro. It was just like a series of
Metro was the 90s.
Right, Ronin.
No, Metro is Eddie Murphy. I believe you were thinking of Showtime.
Oh, see, it's all
Showtime. Yeah, it's all
exactly.
blur.
It's all a blur.
Fucking
Yes.
shitty blur.
So he killed it, and I was like, oh, it's so great to see De Niro back. This is awesome. And the Jackie Weaver was someone I was less familiar with when it came out, but I was really moved by her performance because she was a caring mother. She expressed a lot of emotion on her face, but she also expressed her opinion. She wanted to make her Krabby Snacks and homemades, but she also initiated more change. She initiated more change for Pat than The father did really, because she got him out of the hospital early, and she's the one who surprised him by having him come home. So she's the initiator to help Pat get to where he needs to go, really more than I think anybody beyond Tiffany.
And another really flawed character filled with love. I mean, like, she's clearly pulling her son out too early, despite that, you know, she probably knows better. I mean, she gets him on the road and he's like immediately like trying to break someone out of prison and grabbing the steering wheel and almost crashing the car. And so she's so blinded by her love for him and her good intentions. And there's that's another thing. One of my notes is like, man, he is so even though Pat Sr. beats the shit out of him for elbowing his mother in the face, like he's so lucky to have such loving parents, because there are plenty of people that have less emotional issues than Pat Jr. here and do not have that kind of network whatsoever.
Would be gone. Yeah,
right.
There would be no one to rely on.
Right. And then those people can end up really, really hurt and really harmed in life. And so that is something I really love about the movie, and is that it shows the importance of having a network of people that love and care about you, regardless of how fucked up they are. And every single one of them is fucked up. Like, I love that John Ortiz's character, which I'm always happy to see John Ortiz on film.
Mm-hmm.
I love that his character, when he has a moment alone with Pat, every chance he gets, he's like, I'm feeling crushed. My life is falling apart. Like, like he's dying inside. Like everybody else. Like, Pat is not special because he has bipolar. Everybody's got these struggles of some
Metallica, Megadeth.
Look on his face.
Yes, this is like seriously struck with terror and anxiety, but it's funny. That was really one of the things I loved about this movie the most when it came out, because it was really funny about really serious shit, but it wasn't done in a poor way. I think you really hit on the kind of the heart of why I liked this when it first came out.
And like when Chris Tucker shows up on film, like the first thing I read was like, oh, anxiety. But this is maybe one of the best performances of his career. I'd say this and Dead Presidents.
Another one where he been. He hadn't been. I mean, what had he had done after Rush Hour 2? And it was kind of like he returned. He's
definitely one. I mean, as we know, he's one of those guys that comes and goes. But
now he has. But at the time when this movie came out, I was like, oh my God, Chris Tucker's back. This is great to see him here. That was another reason. I think it's a smaller one, but I was like, oh, I love Chris Tucker. He's back in the film.
But as small as the role is, he packs a lot of humanity into it and believability about his issues.
Yeah, the hygiene law. I Googled that several times, by the way, about the that thing he keeps talking about that he's trying to get out of the hospital for. It really is a real thing. It made no sense to me at the time, but it technically is a real thing.
We'd seen a lot of movies about OCD. I think it's done well here with Pat Sr. But can you think of any bipolar films before this? And how do you think they treated the condition in a film and script?
Girl Interrupted?
Isn't Mark Ruffalo bipolar and The Kids Are All Right?
Is that after this?
Oh, not The Kids Are All Right. The one before that. The one with Laura Linney.
Oh, yeah, You Can Count on Me. I never saw that.
Not Infinite. He's definitely bipolar and Infinitely
Polar
Bear. You Can Count on Me is what I'm trying.
What about Girl Interrupted? Is that? I mean, that seemed like
I think there's plenty of movies that deal with mental health issues. I mean, bipolar specifically.
Well, they used to call it manic depressive, so I guess I'm just.
Well, yeah, you're right. The point of this too, which was really impressive, was the way that, you know, it's become much more open over the last 10 years. I feel like now social media has been a big part of that too. We all seem to talk about it more openly, but that was another reason I was drawn to the film. Is like, oh wow, yeah, this is. And I had no idea what life had in store for me at the time when I first saw this movie. I was like, oh, I thought I had already knew a lot about the challenges of life. It would get a lot worse for me, but I really liked the depiction of it as not being. Like the way that he avoids his meds. He's like, I don't want to take my meds. I don't want to take my meds. And it's not getting better. And sometimes meds do work. It's not the overall ultimate solution, but there's a good balance here of showing us what can happen when you do take your meds at times, and it can help you. I just thought it was well done in terms of the balance of the people who say no meds at any time versus, all right, I'll give it a shot.
I agree that there's been a sea change in this country since this movie came out in terms of how we talk about mental health issues and how we're much, much more open and upfront about it than we ever would have been before. And to a degree, I'm not saying single-handedly, but perhaps the popularity of this movie was a drop in that ocean. The scene when Jennifer Lawrence's character and Bradley Cooper's character are first introduced to one another, and they're like, bonding over the medications that they've had to take.
Yes.
And she talks to him in the road, and she's like, "You're not a hypocrite. You're not a liar. You're not like them." Because Julia Stiles' character, which I love her, I wish she would do more. She's such a great actor. But her character and John Ortiz's character, they're just as fucked up as everybody else, but they're like pantomiming their way through life. Like, hey, we have a nice dinner. We do this. We can't talk about the drugs that we're on and all that kind of stuff. And these days, I think that like the way that Pat Jr. and her and Tiffany, come off in that scene is a lot more relatable and understandable, and not nearly as, oh wow, what a couple of weirdos on drugs. It's like, oh, that's what you're on. I'm on this.
Yeah, they're talking about a lot of those drugs in there. I was like, oh yeah, Abilify and Seroquel and
Klonopin.
Klonopin. Yeah, it takes the life right out of your eyes. It was so accurate and so true. That's exactly what some of that stuff does, and why people don't want to take their meds at time. But that's why you got to find the right balance. Sometimes you get too much of it. Sometimes you don't get enough of it. That is also it's just another great reason, man, why this movie was great, because yes, the people who live their lives according to some way they think it's supposed to be lived versus the people who are having a challenge with that. So they get labeled too. They're having a challenge like, wow, I don't really fit in with the way our culture and society does things. Is it me? Is it the culture? It's probably me. And that's unfair at times. And that's exactly what you have here. When Pat later says in the movie, like, maybe we know something you guys don't know about. Maybe there's a sixth sense we've tapped into here. Mm-hmm. That's beautifully said. It is. And by the way, his brother is... Why is he such a dick? Like, why is he saying all those things to his brother when they first see each other again? Like, I'm getting married. You're a loser. It's like, what the? This is very weird
Stop
dialogue.
talking about all the good things that are good for you. And not for you.
It was very strange.
It's funny though, because I think that the character has because the character Shea Wiggum. Every time like Shea Wiggum, like, is this an Irish cop from 1914? But every time Shea Wiggum like when he shows up on screen, like the first thing he does is like, hey, well, remember your what's the word I'm looking for? Restraining order. So immediately he's on him about shit, and then he's like telling him about all the stuff that's going on good in his life. And as he's doing it, I think he's starting to realize that like he's doing this competitive older brother thing, and then like realizes as he's doing it, like, oh fuck, like I am telling you all the ways that my life is great while your life is terrible. And it's not. And what's awesome about that scene is I got nothing but love for you. It's like, oh man, it's such a great moment of growth halfway through the movie for the character of Pat, because Pat grows throughout the movie, but it's not all at once. We get to see him. Like, we get to see him struggle. Like, should I get in this fight and protect my brother or not? We get to see him like try and work this stuff out instead of just being like, well, I'm a big fuck up and now I'm fine because I did this dance and it went well.
You see the mania. Yeah. Yeah, you see the mania as it starts to balance out a bit. He throws the book out the window late at night, and he can't believe
I can't apologize to you, but I can apologize on behalf of Ernest Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway, what the fuck? It's a great syllabus, too. I mean, got to read the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's you touched on one of my favorite things about this movie, and specifically the Pat character. Like, we've had to sit through so many movies where these ailments are introduced in this laborious melancholy journey to have resources. This is the first movie I remember seeing in a long time that introduces our characters already equipped with resources and mantras and a positivity about their conditions that I had never seen.
He lost a lot of weight too. They bring that up casually a lot through the film, but it's not like they force it on you, but it lets you know that, okay, he's been working on himself the last 6 to 8 months.
And
because
one
Nikki thought he was fat.
Right. And one of the things that he's working on is coming to see his bipolar disorder as a silver lining in and of itself, which is so much of like the people in his life are like, this is a problem, you're a problem. But then you have Tiffany come in and be like, I'm a sloppy mess and I'm okay with my fucked upness. And he comes to talk that kind of way too. He, when like what you just referenced, like maybe we have a sixth sense, and he says something else similarly where he's like, like maybe like I have a different way of looking at things. And I think that's so true as someone who has ADHD and that kind of stuff. I mean, you don't have to like view, I mean, it's not to compare, but I mean, like, you don't have to like disorder, disease, and all these kind of like these qualifiers are so ugly. I mean, when we're all nuanced in our own ways and we all have whatever diagnosis we could, we all have some diagnosis or more that can be presented to us. And so the message of self-love in this movie is, I think, really strong.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is earned fairly and properly. The way that Tiffany starts to say, I always do things for other people, and then she stops.
Yeah.
She demands that Pat do this dance competition because I always just do things for other people. That, all the shit that happened at her office after her husband died, all sleeping with everybody and just saying yes, 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 and just giving in to everything. And that's earned growth to me because it happened through a process of experiences. She starts to say, what you alluded to a moment ago, Travis, I love all the dirty parts about me. It's sloppy and it's a mess and it's complicated, but can you forgive yourself, Pat? Can you forgive fucker? It's a great line. It's really powerful. And I personally took something in my own life from it. I know it's actually a really good message. Like, shit, yeah, accept ourselves and all the dirty parts or the parts that are labeled otherwise by other people or even ourselves, who are often our worst critics.
I think that's one of the things that, about the dialogue in this movie is there's like these really hard hitting messages coming from her, coming from Pat Sr., coming from Pat Jr., like these really important, especially her, hard hitting messages. And they're just getting like speedily handed to us. I'm like scrolling stuff down as I'm taking notes. I'm like, oh my God, that's so brilliant. Oh, that was a brilliant line too. Like, there's so many they're just like crammed in their lines. And
the scenarios and the conditions of this delusions and the mood swings and the very elevated mood, almost to the point that it's like a toxic positivity. If you don't know Pat's situation, it would be like, Jesus Christ, get the fuck away from me, dude. But they're all introduced through story, through all of the circumstances too. They're not telegraphed and they don't seem cheap or unearned at all.
It's a very the
script. Yeah.
Go ahead. Well,
no, please.
Okay. Well, I just mean it's a very lived in movie. The house feels lived in. The people feel lived in. The wedding ring still on. All this stuff just feels so authentic, which goes a long way towards making the movie feel real.
I went to that diner. Of course. I had to check that diner out when I lived there. I was like, oh my God, I got to go to all these places because it makes it look like it's one part of the Philly area, but really it's not because a lot of it was filled in the high class area up there. What was it, Arvada or something like that? Where Villanova is in that whole strip.
All that. Yeah. It's it's actually like a half hour outside of Philly, except for the end of the movie, of course, which takes place on Chestnut Ave. Or Chestnut.
Oh, yeah, that is real.
Chestnut, anyways.
So
let's get to this third act. You pissed?
Well, I'm not pissed because every time the scene comes, we're like, it's actually helping my breathing. I don't know if there's echinacea in this thing or what, but I can breathe with the scented candle.
Somebody help this man.
I don't know, man, dude. I for Pat.
Are you reading the signs?
I don't know. I struggle a lot with this ending after the I love the dance. I love all the parlays and the bets and all this stuff. But like, I struggle with whether or not I want Pat and Tiffany to end up together at the end. I'm probably alone on this.
Yeah.
I may have needed just a little bit more because it just seems like a very clean arc, almost like he's like fixed in his, you can't like, you see what I'm getting at here? He just seems like he's repaired and he's totally like cool now, especially when he delivers this heartfelt moment and he doesn't have these quirks. Nothing weird happens or idiosyncratic. It's just very clean and tidy, and you got the 360 camera going around the kiss, and it seems a little artificial, man. I don't know. I would have liked
the role reversal.
Yeah, I just don't know. Reversal.
Well, it switches.
What do you mean? Oh, and that she's kind of freaking out. Well, she's also like
he becomes very calm. Yeah.
And also like she almost crashes the whole thing before it even starts by getting drunk with this dude, which I also love.
She goes back to the old ways.
She's flawed. She's a human being.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I hear what you're saying, Eric. I don't feel like he comes across as fixed. I feel like he comes across as finally over Nikki. Like that to me is what whispering to her is about, is like him finally getting closure with all of that.
Why would he be over it? It seems like he would be more than ever like, oh, she seems to have liked the performance. Like, no, but he's just over it.
Well, because he's had a week or more to process that the letter was not from Nikki and for him to think about all of that. and he's been slowly falling in love with Tiffany since the moment he met her. Oh my God. It shows them meet, and like the way that it's filmed, like he's like looking at her eyes, and then he's like looking down at her cleavage, and then like he's looking back up at her. Like it's just so real. Like you can really feel that he's like smitten immediately. He says like, you look great. Like he just meets this stranger. He's like, you look great. I'm not flirting with you. Because
you have poor social skills. You have a problem.
Right. Oh God, I love the way they talk to each other. So truthful. But yeah, so I think he's fallen in love with her throughout. He comes to realize that he's fallen in love with her throughout. She's known that she's been falling in love with him for the duration of the film, but he has not known that he's been falling in love with her. So I get what you're saying. Like the camera flying backwards past the season greeting sign. It's all very cinematic and like crescendo to a romantic comedy, but how else was it supposed to end?
And this like I don't know, man. David O. Russell let me down a little bit with this. Like, we finally get to see Pat and Nikki like have a conversation. He's going to do the whole, you don't get to hear it. Well, maybe if that just means you can't write it well. Like, I felt a little cheated.
I don't believe that though.
No.
I think they ran out of time here. I think there was so much packed in here. I think it's fair to say that. I wonder how much they wanted to cut versus, this is a classic tale. You know this, Eric, as well as anybody. He comes off the fighter. You think he should have carte blanche, right? He should be in the zone with this film. So at the same time, actually, now that I'm saying that out loud, why would he have anything limited? I mean, what's the runtime in this? It's not even 2 hours, is it?
I don't think so.
He had shot, I think, 5 different versions of the dance, and between takes of them dancing and takes of Robert De Niro watching, takes that included like De Niro being thrilled, takes with De Niro looking pissed, takes of the dance going well, takes of the dance not going so well. And then he played with it in editing to figure out the right tone. And I think he found personally. He was ready to hedge his bets. I mean, he was hedging his bets during filming, but I think he found the right tone personally. I think that if this movie had derailed into some sort of long conversation between him and Nikki, that would not have been satisfying, because the movie's not about him and Nikki. It's about him and Tiffany. And if the movie had ended with them not together, I would, for one, who the fuck would talk about it? Why would you care about this movie if it just like introduces these two severely flawed characters that are clearly made for one another, and then just has them go their separate way? I mean, that's, you want life? Go live a day. Don't watch a movie if you want life.
It's 2 hours and 2 minutes, by the way. So I think you could have put 15 minutes on this and I'd still be all right with it. I don't say that very often. In fact, I rarely recall ever saying that on this show. When a movie gets longer, I'd like to trim. But Eric, I wouldn't have minded hearing him and Nikki have a conversation and see that. But the way it's done in the end, I don't think it matters, because Nikki's the past. Like that, he's moved the whole thing forward here, where to us, at least to me as a viewer, it's very clear. It's like, Nikki, that's everything I thought I wanted. That's also why it's done so well, because you don't need to hear what they have to say, because that's what he used to think life was about. Nikki was my life. And remember what they say in the movie when he describes, tell me about the wonderful Nikki love. Tiffany has to know why Nikki love is so incredible.
Yeah, and he's like, we both try to change each other. We don't talk for weeks at a time.
Yes. Oh my God. That's perfect. Yep. Couldn't have said it better. So we know that it's clearly a flawed relationship that Pat had idealized, which we do. We idealize people in our lives. I've done it. I've idealized people that I thought were the one, or my everything, or this is my way forward. And it was not true.
And they're working on this project for weeks, if not months. And the project, of course, is not really the dance. The project is their relationship. So every day, I mean, he's like putting her first in almost every chance that he gets. And it's not really about the dance. It's about them.
Yeah.
I hear you, but he's late all the time. So he's not exactly running to go see her every single day.
Bipolar disorder. And he's torn between different people. I mean, he's got split loyalties here.
I think he was.
I see him using Tiffany for the majority of the film, and then all of a sudden there's like, okay, the movie's about to end. We better make sure that they actually fall in love.
I think he didn't maybe it's not. Maybe the one thing that's not earned, Eric, is when he, after the big hubbubaloo from the football game, and he realizes that she wrote that letter when reading the signs is the telltale.
Wouldn't that exasperate his condition even more? Like all of these intense things going on, they seem to ground him wouldn't they just exasperate everything in his mind to like make him?
Here's the key thing. This is the one thing that you've been describing this whole kind of linear progression here. I think the key thing that I mentioned earlier was that I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but he starts to take his pills regularly and he gets a little bit more regulated. So he's not as manic as he was before. And I'm not saying that's a valid excuse, but it is, to me, it's the movie saying this worked for him. He's more calm now.
I think that's a really good point. And here's another one I think is a good point, Eric. It's that the movie's called Silver Linings Playbook, right? He learns that she's been deceiving him or whatever, and he finds the silver lining in it. He literally like learns that she had lied to him. And rather than thinking, oh, she lied to me, he thought, why did she lie to me? Why did she do this? And as he deciphered what her intentions were, he realized how he felt about her.
That makes sense.
I could keep going, but I'll table it.
No, I love it.
If you get more,
give me one more. Give me a retort.
I can't. I'll move on to Pat Senior. Like for a lot, like I love Robert De Niro. He was so funny and he's so committed in this role. He's got so many sweet scenes with Pat Junior. A lot of the movie, I'm sitting in my chair, especially today after this, like maybe 5th, 6th viewing, wondering if everything is just about the betting and all of the sports, or if any of this has to do with his love for his son, because it's a lot just betting. A lot of it is solely on this business endeavor.
Agreed.
Too much.
Well, have you met an Eagles fan? Like, I'm telling you, dude. When I watched this movie before, I'm like, well, the father seemed a little unrealistic. I remember thinking that, like, when I first watched it. Then I lived in Philadelphia and got to know Eagles fans. I mean,
crazy,
dude. This is the most passionate fandom of anything, anywhere that I've ever come in contact with. I'm not kidding. I've not, like, Star Wars fans, anybody else. They don't hold a candle to the level of love and loyalty and excitement. I mean, I cannot. I had a hard, like, it was hard to get around. It was like living in it was people are obsessed, fucking obsessed with the Eagles in that region. I cannot stress how much they really truly are obsessed. So on one hand, I do agree that, like, it's about the football. Like, he's like in tears, please watch the game with me, because he's so superstitious, because he just wants the Eagles to win. He doesn't really want to spend time with his son. He just wants the Eagles to win. And you're right, that is not the greatest motivation, but, like, there is, I think that underneath of that, there's still the love for his son, but on top of it is very much the very real obsession both that an OCD person can have and that, like, a fucking Philadelphia Eagles fan can have.
I love how we don't even see, like, a football in the movie. We don't even see a play. Like, they don't cut to the TV.
Oh, yeah.
That was just all about the human interaction.
We do see official NFL merchandise, which is unusual. That's all real. Like, you have to get approval for that. The NFL's psycho about that stuff. That's it. But you're right. There's no plays. There's no, like, hey, we're live at the stadium. It's 1st and 10. No, we don't need that. But I want to validate what Travis said. There's 2 examples. First off, throwing batteries at the opponents and at opposing fans. And this is at Veteran Stadium, which was the older dumpy place before they moved into the new place. That was real. Also, another example is they booed Santa Claus one year for real, because he was not like an Eagles guy, or they knew that he wasn't. And a third one was an opposing football player from the Cowboys may have been paralyzed on the field, and they were booing or cheering for it. So,
that's the other thing too. It's not just that they're huge Eagles fan. It's that rivalry between the Cowboys and the Eagles is very real too. Because, like, if you're not an Eagles fan in Philly, you're probably a Cowboys fan. Weirdly enough, because I met like 1 in like 30 people that were from Philly that, like, just because they're like, I don't know, like, I got to be the opposite of everybody else. When since this is the rival team, that's like the big rivalry team. That's a team that they're America's team. So the Randy character also extremely believable, and also much love to Paul Herman, who passed this year in 2022.
Oh, he did. Shit. Sopranos, too. Another Sopranos connection.
He played Beansy on Sopranos.
What was his? Thank you. I was trying to think of his name for the last 15 minutes. Beansy. He gets fucking paralyzed. Spoiler alert, gets paralyzed.
Yeah.
So those are real. And then what De Niro says to Pat, actually, after the dance, I think for the first time, even Pat Sr. is like, okay, yes, it's true. Pat Sr. won his bet, so he's probably on cloud 9. He's like, oh, I got everything I want right now, so I'm good to go. However, she never, never really loved you. You may have loved Nikki, but that girl really loves you. I don't know if Nikki ever did. The way he describes that and the way he seems to, he hugs his son and tells him he loves him. Maybe that's fueled by football, but it's still I buy it. And I think he clearly cares about Pat. It's not like he doesn't care, but we could argue about whether he cares more about football
lovey-dovey when they're
Pat.
very, very elated. I've seen it many times.
Yeah, and we also see how his switch to where he suddenly likes Tiffany. He's like, "Oh,
it's hilarious!
It would seem I do."
So funny.
I
did it before, but now it's hilarious.
Oh God, both of them are just on fire in that scene. Lawrence and De Niro both are just so perfect.
Yeah, that's
so funny,
hilarious.
And the reason we don't have to argue about what's a Christmas movie, what isn't, but you talked about it earlier, Travis, how this house feels lived in, and the whole world feels lived in. I gotta say, man, when that scene starts off with the glasses and they do the toast at the house, and he's got the white turtleneck with that green coat on, the Christmas music's playing, it just reminded me of something so specific to my childhood. Back, I go to my dad's house for Detroit and Christmas and stuff. It was really weird. That's why, to me, I'm just like, wow. I know it's the last part of the movie, but it struck me so strongly as a nostalgic factor. And so that's all it is for me. Is it just reminds me of Christmas when I was younger as a kid. That's it. Doesn't mean it's a Christmas movie, but
and the emotional climax of the movie is all happening with Christmas lights around and all that kind of stuff too. So I'm not saying there's no reason to associate Christmas with the movie. I'm just saying I no longer wish to consider You've Got Mail and Sleepless in Seattle to be Christmas movies, nor will I consider this to be one. It's official.
I always hated Johnny Mathis too, and I had never liked Johnny Mathis, but once I heard Misty and that, I never did. I changed my tune after I saw this film, and Misty was used in that way. It's a beautiful song. Johnny Mathis, you're a very talented man. So. Holy Christ. I know we ran over earlier, too. We were talking about movie stuff. But I think we're going to go close to the end here.
Today. Any other final points that we want to make, Eric?
We covered a lot of it, man. I could still talk. I was very surprised at how much John Ortiz character was making an impression on me this time. It's definitely got to do with age. It definitely has to do with the stress of my life. But when you think about it, like he's displaying a feeling that's just as, in a lot of ways, just as violent as what Pat did to the history teacher. He's saying, sometimes I want to it's funny, but he's saying, I want to go somewhere and just start smashing shit. And he's not somebody that's labeled with a diagnosis. Right. He's just a person like you said, Travis, you nailed it. Just like everybody has these things. And the quicker we can strip down labels or not need them even, we're all going to seem, I don't want to say normal, because what the fuck is normal? We're just going to seem like people doing our best.
There's the one key thing we didn't hit on that you just made it clear to me. This takes place during the meltdown, the great 2008 depression, the meltdown, the economic things. That's why Pat Sr.'s trying to do this bookie thing, because he lost his my father. They just mentioned it in passing. Yeah, my father lost his pension. It was a huge deal.
And John Ortiz's character is flipping houses. That's right. And trying to make a profit out of all that. And that's becoming.
She wants more. I'm going to give her more.
Coming from the other direction. So I thought that was really cool too. And then also the other person that loses their job in this movie is Pat himself. Like, it's one of the things I think that the movie does a good job of making us feel like that inferiority that he felt before this all even happened was that, like, he's a substitute history teacher and the guy fucking his wife is a real history teacher. And then of all things to be listening to while she's cheating on her husband is their wedding song. But what's brilliant about the movie is that when finally Nikki is there at the dance competition, seeing them dance, the song they start dancing to, it's a Stevie Wonder song, which is brilliant. That is just brilliant. Take a different Stevie Wonder song and make it. What Stevie Wonder song is it? It's not. God, what song is it? Everything's all right. It's not Uptight All Right, but it's something like that. It's like an upbeat, like everything's great kind of song. It's like that's what I'm saying. Like you've seen it many times and you hadn't picked up on that. But that's the kind of subtleties that happen in this movie that I think are really brilliant. Yeah, he beat the song. That's another thing. When she corners him and there's no song playing. And my Sharia more kind of drifts into silence. That's also really well done. But the way they use that motif and then they switch it, they flip it for their dance competition, I think is really brilliant.
That's the funniest. One of the funniest parts of the movie is when he shows up to that woman at the school. She's like, "Ah!" He tries to hug her. "Ah, get away from me!" You're right.
Extreme highs, abysmal lows.
Yeah, but he's out in the garbage bag. You know, when he's in that garbage bag zone, he's on fire.
Don't you worry about a thing. I wrote it down. That was the song. Don't you worry about a thing.
Oh, don't you worry about a thing. Okay, yeah, I did not pick up on that before. Very good. All right, well, I picked the movie, so I'll go first. I picked the movie and everything you just mentioned. You know, Sharia Moore was like my favorite Stevie Wonder song before I saw this movie. So there's so many things about this film that hit me specifically. I'm not going to deny that. Yes, it spoke to me on so many levels related to, mental health disorders and family and, love and thinking you are what the person you should be or not be, and football and sports and how they could be communal sources, but they could also be toxic at the same time. It was just like all these things melded into this movie that spoke to me as much as any film that ever came out at that time. And over 10 years, this is the 10th anniversary. It came out 10 years ago.
Wow.
December of 2012. It just doesn't change. I know the movie beat by beat pretty much, but I didn't pick up on that Stevie Wonder thing before, so I'd learned things. I'm still learning things about the film and the way that David O. Russell did this. I think The Fighter is a fucking masterpiece. I do. I think Flirting with Disaster is an incredible indie movie, one of the best indie comedies ever. I really do. And I Heart Huckabees, whether you like it or not, it's one of my personal favorites. David O. Russell knows how to build levels on levels with his scripts. He's so good at that. And I'm not even sure this is my favorite David O. Russell movie, but it's a damn good one that spoke to me, and it's deserving of Bradley Cooper's status now as who he is. He solidified it with this role. He went on to do American Sniper and all kinds of stuff after that, and we take him for granted today. But this role really defined Bradley Cooper. It said farewell to Robert De Niro in a really classy way, and even though he's alive and well, I know that. I'm just saying, for me. Yeah, I got to go back and watch that one again. It was a long one, and I'll have to set aside a week to watch it, but I will. Either way, yeah, Silver Linings Playbook holds up. It was probably obvious. I know that, and that's okay.
Let me jump in, being the most critical of the film, but it's all out of love, man. I welcome this anytime it comes on because it makes me laugh so much. It's one of these weird movies where you're not really sure if it's okay to laugh at a lot of it because there's a lot of fucked up stuff going on. That's characters being hurtful to other characters, people feeling pain and emotion. But David O. Russell gives it this, this nuance and this delicate touch that it makes it okay for me to laugh at a lot of these situations. So many other filmmakers would have either cranked the cheese, they would have cranked the sentimentality, or they would have cut a lot of the mean-spirited stuff out of this in favor of Oscar bait trash. He's such a bold director and very unique. And I just love the way he tells his stories with his characters, man. It's just so dynamic. There's so much energy in this movie. Like I paused it after 10 minutes and it just so much was given to me in this very short amount of time. I knew exactly who my friends were going to be for the duration of the film, and it just coasts along, man. I got some problems with some of these motivations, especially towards the end, but one thing that never changes is every time I watch this movie and Pat's telling her how he feels about her at the end, I just cannot help it. I always have tears just streaming down my face just looking at Jennifer Lawrence, these beautiful, gorgeous, soulful eyes, listening to someone who genuinely appreciates her for who she is. It's so powerful and it's so real, and it's a deserved Oscar. And I'll keep coming back, man, because there's a lot here of merit, because it's not just a mental health film. It's a comedy. It's like a family comedy and a drama. I love the movie, man. It holds up completely.
All right. Talking about parts that are very funny in the movie. Like there are parts where I just cackled out loud when they happen in the movie. And then there's parts like reading my notes later. I just was laughing my ass off reading the notes like just an hour ago. The scene where he goes to the house that and I love that this is never even really messaged to us. Clearly the house that she lives in, she had given that up to rent to like family friends or whatever, and then had converted the garage into a new living space for herself, which they don't make a big deal out of that. But again, like that's that very rich, believable stuff that speaks volumes about the character, and yet it's not shoved in our face. And that when he shows up at that, when Pat shows up at like the main house, and then this other bozo blows in like, oh, hey, how you guys doing? He's looking forward to. So fucking funny. It's so funny. And there's stuff like that throughout the movie that's just so funny. And I also think that there's like these really, again, like these kind of like just good movie moments. When he walks into his house, when Pat walks into his house, he looks at his brother's picture up on the wall, and he looks at where his picture is usually at, and it's down. It's been demoted to the table. Something's happened. It's been bumped or something, and it's on the table now. But at the end of the movie, it's getting put back up on the wall in its proper place. Not that he's recovered from bipolar disorder, just that he's comfortable with himself and his place in the world again, and that he's no longer fucked up over this relationship that is really the main thing that fucked him up more than any issues that he had. Like the importance of this late life diagnosis. That's awesome that he gets that, but he only gets it because his life falls apart. So I think that there's some really, really good stuff here in that sense. And then again, like I have to disagree. I mean, well, you just said you got tears in your eyes at the end scene, so I guess you don't completely hate the ending. I love that, like he has this whole big articulate letter that he writes to her, and her response is, "You love me?" And he goes, "Yeah, I do." And she goes, "Okay." And she just kisses him. That's it. I mean, what a great line. You love me? Okay.
Does it every time.
It's so real and powerful. I truly feel like this is one of the best romances of the 21st century, hands down. One of the best romances of the 21st century, and it absolutely holds up. I love this movie.
Could have said it better myself, friend. Well said. By the way, you just reminded me of that scene when Tiffany is listening to Pat talk that guy off the porch who she clearly had texted to tell him to come over, the total void nerd dude who is driving a Benz, but probably a douche. It reminded me, it truly happened to me once. I defended this girl in an argument with some people in a basement of Mike Ring's house one night in like 2005. And I didn't know she was around at all. She just came up in conversation. She was at that party, and then she had heard it in the stairwell and told me later. And she was very appreciative, and she kissed me. It was cool. So I don't know. That stuff does happen, and it reminded me of that. It was a great story. She's a very nice person. I still love you, Leanne. Don't worry. It's a long time ago. You know, things happen.
2005. You know.
Yeah,
right.
That was.
Does Leanne listen to the show? Because you address her pretty much every episode.
No, I think the only
directly
time
address it like, "Hi, Leanne."
No, because if we even talked about a scary movie on the show, she would freak out. So no way. The only way she hears the show is if I have my headphones off and somehow she hears you guys through the speakers, which would not happen because I'm a professional. All right, there it is.
There it is.
Woo! One of our longer episodes recently, but it's the end of the year. We talked 2022 movie. You know, we did all that stuff, so it's okay. I enjoyed the episode. Just like Silver Linings Playbook, it flew by. So, next week we got Dragon Movie Guy on.
What's his real name? Does he have a real name?
I honestly don't know his real name.
Cool.
I don't think Dragon all night.
I feel kind of weird. I'm like, hey, dude, what's your? Yeah, I don't know if we ever got the actual exchange. I first talked to him. Looks like January of this year. He reached out and said, "Just found your Cinema 9 podcast on YouTube. It's a fun pod." I'm like, oh, thanks, buddy. Right. But he didn't say like, oh, he did say it. Brian. Okay, Brian.
Brian. All right, Brian. Right. Looking forward to having you on.
Hi, Brian.
What's Brian's choice? What are we watching?
Well, Brian he didn't even debate it. He wasn't one, sometimes we have guests who are like, hey, I'm thinking about these 4 movies. Mm-hmm. He just came right in with the film he wanted to do. And he said, can I do this movie? And I said, you want to do the movie? We'll do it. We haven't done it. He also checked our backlog to make sure we hadn't done it. So thanks, Brian.
Wow.
We appreciate that.
Yep.
He has selected a movie which looks like it's available now on streaming. I think I happened to pass by it on Netflix earlier. We're going to 2005. I was ready to choose this movie a few times, and I passed by it, so I did not influence him. You could check the logs. I'll show you the screenshots.
We will.
Okay.
We're doing a movie from 2005 starring Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, Jesus.
The restaurant classic, Waiting.
Never seen it.
Wow. Well, Travis does not say those words very often.
It's pretty rare.
It is very rare. Okay.
All right.
I think it was on Netflix. I don't know if it is. It's like Canada here, so I don't know if there's a difference between America. But I think he also chose it probably because it was streaming. Seems like the kind of guy who would do that. He's in the know. That's what we'll do next week. 2005's Waiting with Brian, the Dragon Movie Guy. Make sure you check out his YouTube page. He's a really cool dude, and we'll talk to him next week. I think that's it, gentlemen. Have we covered everything?
I think so.
Well, Oh, yeah. Are you on your way down to West Virginia, Travis?
Nope. Staying in town for the Christmas holiday. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Well, maybe I'll see you someday in person. Who knows?
Perhaps.
I want to give a shout out to our friend James. He had his birthday last night.
Happy
Jamie,
birthday,
happy
Jamie.
birthday. And I did go, actually. I actually went all the way up to Ann Arbor to his restaurant. If you live in Michigan, you live in the Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti area, it's called the Bellflower. It's fantastic. And I strongly recommend you check it out if you have some free time during the holiday break. That'll do it.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great holiday. We'll catch you next week.
Why are they so excited about a 5?
Black it up, Pat. Black it up.